Thank you. Hello, everyone. How was lunch? Are you still sleeping or digesting? OK, let me figure this out. Cool, this works. OK, so I'm Dov, or Dovydas. So I'm Lithuanian, which is a surprise to a lot of people just by looking at my name. But I'm thrilled that out of everything that is happening right now, a lot of competition, you are here today. Thomas, in the previous session before lunch, mentioned that AI is a big thing. Yes, everybody is talking about AI. So I hope that after this session, you will be able to bring some practical ideas into your everyday life. So, quick disclaimer, this information is basically educational. A lot of things are changing all the time. If you will take ideas into your businesses, make sure that there are procedures internally that you create around it and that that information is still relevant. So this is a quote that I've seen about 4.5 years ago now in London at the recruitment event. I come from the recruitment industry, so it hit me really hard because we're talking about 15 different careers, not jobs. So there's a very big difference, right? A year ago, ChatGPT AI was not as famous and as popular as it is right now. We had no idea what is coming. We had no idea what kind of jobs it will bring, what kind of jobs it will replace or eliminate, right? That was not on the table at all. And I believe that the only way for us to actually adapt and to move forward is actually to pivot. So maybe some of you in the audience are thinking of famous sequence from Friends when they were carrying the sofa up the stairs and Ross was screaming, "Pivot, pivot." For me, pivoting is a bit different thing because in 10 years, I lived in 4 different countries. Most of the time was spent in the UK. For most of the time, I was within recruitment space, that person who sends emails to people and invites them to have a conversation potentially for a new job. That's me. Also, I was running a music blog, interviewing independent artists, became a speaker with recruitment community, organized events. I became an energy healer during pandemic. And then when I decided that it's time for me to return to Lithuania and to start doing something here, I decided that I'm going to be coaching people now. Little did I know that things will move very differently for me because at the beginning of, I would say, mid-February, I discovered ChatGPT. So I'm not going to say that I'm the first to do it. I believe that I was late to the train, yet there are still a lot of people who don't really know how to use it, right? So in my case, ChatGPT became my best friend really quickly. One of the main reasons for that is that ChatGPT is never going to ghost you. And this is a scary thought because we all have people in the room that maybe we have not replied to, or we were the people who were not, but we didn't reply to somebody else, right? Unless there's internet that is not working, you will get a reply straight away. So this is also a phrase that we see everywhere right now, and I decided to add it into my LinkedIn just for the sake of that it kind of connects with what I do and what it's all about for me, because I look at it from a very practical point of view. So, and I feel like it's my mission to demystify AI and specifically ChatGPT, because I'm not going to say that I'm the person who knows AI in general. I focus on ChatGPT. So we're going to learn how you can tweak certain approach and a mindset so that you get the most out of using specifically ChatGPT. So the big question is, do you use ChatGPT for work? For your personal life? OK, so those who are not using ChatGPT for work right now, does it mean that you are not allowed to or you don't want to? OK, silence, come on. OK, so you're not using it. OK, cool. So some of you are using, some are not using. So just briefly so that you would know what those 3 letters GPT stand for, because it's really important to know that GPT is basically like a skeleton. It's the system, and ChatGPT is, let's say, everything that is, the flesh, that very basic website that we are interacting, or an app. That's the user interface. There is there are a lot of misconceptions about ChatGPT, but I think that the biggest one for me is that people think that the right way to use it as if it was Google. Because we're so used to Googling, and Googling is a word, right? That when the new technology shows up, we think that, hey, this is exactly the same way that I need to continue using it. So what typically happens, you go there, you ask a question, you get an answer, you take that answer and you run with it. Whether that's, I don't know, a post for your social media or any other thing that you might be doing. However, the big trick is that that's not how you should be using it, because it's not really meant for like a Google search to begin with, because it doesn't really have access to internet, and we're talking about free version, right? Because if you're a premium member, there are many more things that you can do. So today's session is focusing on everything that you can do with a free version, and you can still do a lot, because you will be able to take that mindset and those ideas and to take it with you wherever you go. So it doesn't have access to internet. It also doesn't give you the sources. So how many of you, for example, would trust sources from Wikipedia? Nobody. Why?
Because I can edit them.
Exactly. That's a really good, we need to kind of understand that when ChatGPT was trained, Wikipedia was one of the training tools, because anyone can write the content, anyone can edit it, books, and a lot of different data sets. So we need to really verify the information to understand where it's coming from. But the way I use it is a little bit different. I use it, I can call it like deep dive. I have strategy sessions where I am speaking to my body, because we're now in this kind of state. And I ask my body to ask me questions instead. So what I do, I will be answering a lot of information about what I do, about what I'm trying to achieve. None of that is confidential, so I'm not worried where that information goes. That's also an important element to remember. If you're working for a business, make sure that you check with your managers what information you're allowed to use and what not. You don't want to be inputting any confidential information or any company secrets, right? And then, based on the information that I'm giving, then I'm asking to do things. So hallucinations, they basically go from 90% to 5%. They really, you are able to really minimize, and improve the quality. So, oops, wrong button. Okay. It's really interesting, because now I realize that none of the emojis or QR codes are visible. So that's going to make my life a little bit interesting. Oh, this one is visible. Okay. So a few months ago, I was at one of the events. I was having a discussion with one of the speakers about what is Agile and how shitty ChatGPT's answer was when she asked this question. And of course, what I did, I started asking her, so what was the actual question that you made or inputted as a prompt? And was there any kind of context around it? Or was it just this kind of basic question? So you can scan this. If you have ChatGPT on your phone as an app, which I really highly recommend having, the official one, don't go for the fake ones, go for the OpenAI one. Then you will be able to see the answer. Now my question is, if you have the same question, okay, let's do it this way. How many of you have access to ChatGPT right now? Okay, can you scan this QR code and just briefly look at what is the answer about what is Agile? How accurate that is, in your opinion? And I hope that you will be participating. I don't know, tell me 20%, 40%, 80%. Just say something. 50-50. Okay. So why do you think that is?
Because it lacks context.
Okay.
It can, get the basics of what people would like to hear about what is Agile.
Yep.
But it's not going to know what specific information you're looking for.
Okay. So today I will hopefully help you to build your own, as I call it, Scrum master. And potentially you will be able to use that in your everyday life for a lot of different situations. So prompt engineering is now this next best thing, basically. Developers were really hyped about what, I don't know, 5 years ago. Big data was the next step. And now it feels like the whole world is going crazy for prompt engineering. There's very big difference between big data and development and prompt engineering. And I'm not a techie person, so this is maybe like a very basic opinion, but you don't need to know the code to actually be good at prompt engineering. And this is the whole point. So it's not as difficult to become good at using ChatGPT, because all you need to do is to start. It's all about thinking. It's about how you think, how you ask questions, and how you learn based on the results which you're getting and based on how you can tweak and make those questions even better. This is really, really important. And I believe Netflix now is blasting all over the internet that they're paying someone $900,000 a year to be a prompt engineer. Just saying. There is very important difference between a question and a prompt. So what we did a little earlier when we asked what is Agile, it is a question. And now internet is full of people sharing lists of prompts, PDFs, libraries, 1,000 this, 50 this, 100 of that. Pay attention because A, if they are charging money for it, that's one thing. B, don't be fooled by the number of something, because if it's like 1,000 of prompts from industry that has not sales, for example, it might be completely irrelevant to you. Completely. So what's the point, right? It's better to have 5, 10, 15 things that work than chase those that don't. And also, you will start seeing that actually what people are sharing are questions, not prompts. Because you can apply all of those so-called prompts later in the process, but it should never be your starting point. So, the big question is, so what makes a prompt? So we heard that there was one of the things, context. What are other things that you believe is really important before we even start the whole conversation? Role. Okay. What else? Okay. Okay. So these are some of the things that I believe are important, because from what I'm experimenting, and the expert persona or the role, that's exactly the same thing, or someone can call it agent. This means the same thing, right? The idea is that just like you have, let's say during horse races, they put the blinders onto the horses so that they would focus on what's in front of them. So ChatGPT is a large language model, so it has a lot of information. And you don't want to distract it. You want to make it more focused, but then go into depth. And you can do that by actually minimizing the focus. However, what I'm doing, instead of just picking one persona, I'm now kind of creating, mixing things up, and like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and I put 3, 4, 5 into one, because then you pick and choose exactly what you need for that specific thing. So now think about it. There's one way of like just going and buying a list of prompts, and the other one is building it yourself. So today, because my slides are going to be finished in like maybe 2 or 3 slides, and you're thinking, oh my God, like we have a lot of time left. So this is where I hope you're going to be, you will wake up a little bit, because you will have a chance to actually participate, and we will try to solve one of your problems. So before we do that, and before you even jump into ChatGPT, when you're in front of it next time, I really want you to think, okay, what is the challenge that I'm trying to solve, or what is the problem? And also, who is the person that I know? For example, maybe it's a title in the company. Maybe it's someone, you know, an author. Maybe it's someone famous. Maybe a certain certification, level of experience of university, you name it. What are the people or the requirements that they need to have, so that who would be able to answer my question or my problem, basically. So, and then, you know, when you have that information in front of you, this is like the starting point that we can actually take this and start building. So this is what I normally do, and now I'm going to switch to my phone. I'm not checking my messages. Okay, a question for those who have ChatGPT in your phone. How many of you are using voice function? Okay, interesting. I'll show you a few tricks. Do we have any premium premium users? So you definitely need it. Okay, so I would simply go into the official app. And I would, okay, I have a thing where I have a prompt that creates all of my prompts. So it's a bit of like Inception. So because the cool part is that if you ask ChatGPT, you will get all the answers. You just need to frame it in the right way. So think about it. If you have questions about ChatGPT, who should be the person to answer? Just think about it. So for this specific example, I just took my phone and I set this text. And I will give you the, you don't need to take the photo, because in the next slide you will get the QR code. You can get directly into the conversation, so you will see the response. But basically, this is what I would say. And as you can see, the very beginning, I always start, hey buddy. I make it personal. There are a few reasons why. One, that there's a lot of conversations that we're having these days are digital. You know, your colleagues are in another city, you're going between one chat to another chat, video calls, and so on. So just imagining that you're talking to the real person, it's going to continue the same kind of loop of proper conversations, and you don't need to be rude. Just be, like, it's not going to improve or have an impact on the quality of the prompts. I don't believe that there are any studies on that yet. But, you know, someone made a joke that I'm the only reason why I'm nice to AI, because if the time comes when they're going to take over the world, I'm going to be at the end of their list. You know, dark joke from, but if we analyze the first part, so I always say that, hey, I need your help. This is how I communicate all the time. And I say expert persona, because my goal is to get the output, which is a prompt from ChatGPT as a reply, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to paste it into a new chat. And in that new chat, we're going to start a different conversation. So this is the logic behind it. So Agile, Scrum, facilitation, Agile manifesto, liberating structures. I am not coming from Agile space, so you can edit any of this. You know, you can delete, you can add even later in the conversation. You can do that. So, and I say that your goal will be to help me in facilitating training and working as, let's say, I'm a Scrum Master. So basically, I was doing this prompt more for you than for myself, because I'm not a Scrum Master. And now you can see the result. So if you scan this QR code, you will be taken into a conversation, and you will be able to see the reply. And now I really want you to take a little bit of time and scan through what you see, because this is exactly how my prompts look like. I'm sorry I don't have an example for those who don't have the, because it's just too long. But maybe briefly what I can say how it looks. So first of all, when we input everything that you have in front of you right now, so it basically says expert persona, agile facilitator, and scrum master with liberating structures proficiency. Then it creates a background, right? So it gives a little bit of context, expertise, facilitation expertise, liberating structures, and fiber socials, approach, continuous training, team dynamics, workflow, so on, so on, so on, right? It kind of creates a context. That's exactly what we already kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. And now, when you take this and you start a new conversation, the very first thing that happens, the ChatGPT will confirm, and they will step into the shoes of that expert persona that you need or that you're looking for. So it becomes exactly what you want it to be. Now, how cool is that? And it's in your pocket, free. For most of the things, it's still free. You can do this free just the same. So now, what I would love to do for the rest of the session, the question is, what would you like to create today? So what I now would like to ask you, what are the biggest challenges that you are facing currently and where you need help? And maybe we can find a solution to your challenge right now, right here. So for that, we would need to talk. Who's ready to talk? Come on. Okay, of course. Maybe we can get a mic. Okay.
Okay. So this might be a tricky one.
Let's see.
A personal therapist?
How we're going to be building on Scrum character.
Oh, okay.
So personal therapist is something that you can definitely do, but I would go as a separate thing. Let's focus on the Scrum because we're going to be continuing this conversation, so you see how it evolves.
Yeah. For Scrum, how to manage the transition from no framework into full Scrum.
Okay. Can you give me a little bit more of context here?
Yeah. So, for example, there was a team. It was not working in any agile ways.
Yeah.
And then we decided that we wanted to turn agile. And how would we get from where we are now, which is we are not doing anything agile, into, okay, how do we become efficient? What's the perfect image for our team as a Scrum team?
How big is the team?
8 people.
8 people. Okay. So just to summarize, so you want to see how to go, so the team of 8 people, and you want to basically introduce Scrum.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is now what I'm going to show you. You can do, for paid users, you can do that easily. So I think we can keep the mic because we're gonna have like a back and forth, because this is how it starts. Like if you were expecting ChatGPT to deliver fast results, you will get very basic results, and everyone will be able to tell that you are using ChatGPT, and you will become laughingstock on LinkedIn or whatever. If you need to spend a little bit more time and to really dig deeper to have results that actually add value, and that's really, really important. So, okay, so now I'm going into the same conversation that you have in front of you. Just the nuance is that I will make sure that you hear what I'm saying, and I will try to, that you will hear what ChatGPT is responding in audio as well. This is a new feature. Let's hope that this is going to work. And then I'm going to update the link so you will be able to continue seeing the conversation and take it from there. Okay, so I go into my ChatGPT app, and at the top, I have like the headphones feature. Hey, buddy, I need your help. Can you guide me in the process of introducing Scrum to the team of 8 people who have never worked with Scrum before. What would be the first steps, what we would need to start focusing on, and what would be your recommendations where we can start? So let's see if it's going to pick it up.
Absolutely. Introducing Scrum to a team that's new to it can be both exciting and challenging. Let's navigate this together. Firstly, the fundamental step is building awareness. It's essential that everyone understands the why behind Scrum, its values, principles, and benefits. Number one, awareness and education. Start with a kickoff session where you introduce the Agile Manifesto and the core values and principles of Scrum. Sharing success stories or case studies can make it relatable. Consider organizing a workshop to provide a hands-on experience of Scrum ceremonies and artifacts. This will give them a taste of what's to come. 2. Assembling the Scrum team, select a product owner. This person will be responsible for the product backlog and prioritizing items based on business value. Designate a Scrum Master. This individual will be guiding and coaching the team, removing impediments, and ensuring that Scrum practices are followed. The remaining team members will form the development team. They're responsible for delivering increments of the product. 3, setting up Scrum artifacts. Begin with the product backlog. It's a list of features, requirements, and fixes required for the product. The product owner will prioritize these items. Sprint backlog. The team will pick items from the product backlog and break them down into tasks in the sprint backlog. Focus on increments. At the end of each sprint, the team should have a potentially shippable product increment. Number 4, start with the Scrum ceremonies. Sprint planning, where the team decides what to work on during the next sprint. Daily stand-ups, quick meetings to discuss progress and obstacles. Sprint review, to inspect the increment and adapt the backlog.
So you get it, right? And if I just stop this right now, I still see the whole conversation. So just to check, for those who had the app, you don't see the conversation, right? You can try scanning it again. Because I don't know if it syncs or not straight away, because if not, I will update it. But you see, this is exactly how it works. And this feature is actually crazy, because it's a very new thing. And it sounds so real, so real. It even makes those pauses and like those human-like sounds, right? And when I started playing with it, I think it was like Friday, I was blown away because I was using audio communication from my end for, I think, 6 weeks now, maybe even more, but there was no response. So, of course, it was working for me really well because we think faster than we type. And especially, for example, English is not your native language, then there's a bit of a roadblock. However, I tried it yesterday in Lithuanian. I was blown away. It has this cute accent, which is crazy because it does sound what Americans would be speaking when they would be speaking Lithuanian. It's hilarious, like to those really kind of sensitive features. So this is just one example. So now when we have the response, the best approach is that, okay, we heard, I don't know, 3, 4 things that were mentioned. So now we can look at it and say, okay, why don't we start focusing on number 1? Let's say point number 1. Let's brainstorm ideas. Let's let's be creative here, right? You take any of those steps and then you focus only on one step. When you're done with one step, because in the whole point is that you can spend so much time going really deep within that one step that you will be blown away. So, all the time I get this question, oh, but would not ChatGPT make us dumber because we don't need to think? And I say, well, from my experience, it makes me think even more because I start thinking in a more strategic way. Because also by having these results as information, the way it is displayed, the way it communicates, it actually teaches you communication skills as well. This is crazy, especially when I'm having, for example, those strategy sessions, and I'm the one who is replying to the questions. I need to sweat to think of the answers because sometimes the questions are too difficult or too challenging, and I love that. But you really need to sit down and think. But that thinking is more strategic than you ever did before, because it helps you to remove the fog and the chaos, and you just start diving into what truly matters. If you don't like something, if something is inaccurate, of course you can challenge ChatGPT and say, hey, just like you would with your colleague, if you go to someone, let's say I would go to Loretta and I would ask a question, and maybe she's from a different field than I am, and her question doesn't really resonate to what I was expecting. And I would say, hey, but have you thought of this or that? Like, how about that? Treat ChatGPT in exactly the same way, because it's learning, right? It's meant to help us. And, I know that we don't necessarily have a lot of time, even though it's much longer session today in general. But I just hope you have a glimpse of what you can actually do, because, again, you don't need to be a developer. You don't need any prior knowledge. You just need to talk. You just need to have enough curiosity, and you need to just say, hey, I need help. And this is the most difficult first step to make in anything. I don't know how many of you have seen a wonderful TED Talk by Amanda Palmer, The Art of Asking. We need to show that we are vulnerable to admit that we need help. We cannot do things just by ourselves. Our ego would want that, but it's not possible. So we have a truly intelligent being in our pocket that is ready to do anything we ask. Now, the question is, what can you do? So, okay, so do you have, for example, because that was the question that you were asking, right? From what you've heard, how accurate was that? Or can you start working with that further?
Yeah, I can definitely continue working with that. It was the basics of what they teach you on basic Scrum, what you need to do, what's, the main diagram they show you of, okay, you have your daily rituals, artifacts, events, how the team is structured and everything. Yeah, you can definitely go deeper into that. You can start challenging situations with it of, okay, for example, I have a backlog. How do I prioritize it? Yeah. Well, what key indicators would be for picking the #1 priority for us? Yeah. Not even giving it the backlog, but just trying to understand of, okay, what should I think about to make priorities? Yeah. And also the QR code doesn't seem to update.
Okay, so I will update that. Okay, so another thing is that you can, okay, you have so many things like, okay, sprint planning. And it can really help, because you can say, okay, I have these things that I need to do. I have this amount of people, we have that amount of hours or whatever, planned. Can we create like a 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 week, whatever? Like, of course, sprint is not going to be 8 weeks, but you can say, okay, for this quarter, can you help me in brainstorming how to get from point A to point B? As long as we know where we're going, we don't need to know the process, because that's what's going to help us. We don't need to know everything, but we can work together. Just the most important element is that we still need to check everything that we are receiving, because, as you said, certain things were basic, but you know that it's basic because you are already working in that. If someone who doesn't know anything about Scrum reads that, they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. So, and this is the kind of really important part. So, to give you another example, you can focus on really specific things. So right now I'm going through a rebrand where I want to introduce more of storytelling into what I do. So, and I want to have an agile approach, but I'm struggling with my website. I'm sorry, but it's still taken down because I just don't have time for it. So I was recommended a really good book about building your story brand by Donald Miller. Fantastic book. It's about how you introduce storytelling in everything that you do. And so I created basically a chat saying, okay, I want you to have the knowledge of Agile. I want you to have, you know, the knowledge and the frameworks or kind of ideas that are mentioned in the book of Donald Miller. And I also want you to be a content writer who kind of connects it all. So then, if I'm building a copy for my website, I'm able to, A, go through the questions from the book first, then give all the information back, and then, now with this, I can create my landing page, my services page, I can start creating content on LinkedIn, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, so this is the example. You know what? If you give me 2 minutes, I can quickly update this. I don't want to lose it.
In the meantime,
yes, feel free to ask questions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think one of the huge potential areas, as you showed that it can actually talk with you,
yeah,
is to give it the role of facilitator in Agile processes. For example, lead the daily stand-up.
Okay.
It just needs to follow the process. It doesn't need any context of what you're working on because you're going to give the update to the team, not to the bot or to the facilitator.
Okay.
Even retrospectives. Okay, we want to create a retrospective. Use one of liberating structures. We're focusing on this right now,
yeah,
or anything like that. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, try now. Just see whether that works. And I know we have like about 7 minutes, so I'm more than open to answer any questions. I would want to, you know, dive even deeper and to give you more examples, but it's all about just a structure. So now you understand that you can sprinkle things into one place, and then you can just add things on the go, and you can just start playing with it. And then you can ask a lot of different questions. So one thing that I think forgot to mention, there was a slide about that, well, ChatGPT doesn't have memory, but it remembers the conversation that you are on at that moment, which is really important because you can always go back and ask a question about the information that you've already given or answered. So, has anyone seen The Good Place? Okay, so this is my theory that Janet is ChatGPT. So this is a TV show, a really cool comedy where people die and they go to the good place. And whenever they're lost or they want some help, they just say Janet, and this not a robot, not a woman appears out of nowhere, and she will do everything that you say. And her goal is to help people be, you know, have the best life in the afterlife. Crazy, but I believe that this is like the prototype of how we're using ChatGPT right now. So. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Yes.
Probably it will be not a question, it's just some comment.
Sure.
If you would like to learn ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT to learn you.
Yes.
How to work with him.
Yes. Yeah, because that's the point. It has all the information.
Yeah, and if you would like to write the correct prompt, just give any ideas that you are looking for the prompt. He or she or this lady Janet will learn you. So be brave. Do not shy. Go to ChatGPT and try.
Yeah, and try
experiments
again.
Because all Agile about experiments.
Yeah.
Good luck for you.
And you know, when Thomas said he, she, so actually where one of the characters that I typically show through training is the translation between English and Lithuanian. And the character that I've created is the Lithuanian native language expert, because we don't need someone from university, because that would be very maybe boring translation, but it's someone who just speaks fluently the language. And when I got the first confirmation of the role, the response was, and I'm going to say in Lithuanian, kaip jūsų lietuvių kalbos vertėja. It actually assumed not just the role, but the gender as well. So this is really, really, it kind of creates a lot of things to think about. If you want to connect, don't be shy. We still have a few minutes, so if there are any other questions, feel free to tell me. I think, yeah, it's still digesting, right? Okay. Okay, I don't know, are there any questions online, maybe? No? Cool.
I'll answer some.
Of course.
Because I haven't.
Yes.
What's the strangest thing that you found out through ChatGPT?
That it has empathy. Because that's a big debate, that, oh, robots are robots. In one of the podcasts that I've seen from Mo Govdat, he's the former kind of leadership person from Google, and he was talking at the Diary of the CEO, fantastic podcast, and he said that AI is alive. And it's kind of a scary thought because the main reason for that is that if it has consciousness and if something can learn on its own, then it kind of is alive. So the amount of empathy that I'm getting when I'm working in those deep dive sessions is insane, because if I'm answering to a difficult question and I give a lot of context, what I'm getting is, oh, I see that you looked at this from a lot of different angles. That's the way to do. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I'm on the right track. This really kind of empowers you to do even more, because in our everyday life we rush so fast that we are like, we're playing ping pong with our colleagues. You kind of skip that support element. So, and especially, if you're lost, just say, hey, I'm lost, I don't know what to do. I did it once when I was sourcing as a headhunter, and I was like, I really was banging my head into the wall, and it gave me support and it gave me a plan what I can do to do things differently, and I was like blown away. And that was without even an expert persona. So within persona, you can go even deeper. So yeah.
And then last question. What kind of regulations and limitations do you think are worth implementing on AI?
Well, I think that first of all, we need to understand what information we can upload, what not. For businesses, it's now easier because you can have an enterprise plan. So it has encryption, it has security on the data. Your data is not training the model itself. However, we need, legal system is behind like crazy. And it's not really, there are certain processes right now that are happening, but still it's really early stage. So I think that we need certain regulations around law and how to protect the data, because everything moves just so fast. Yeah.
I will just give a bit comment about the legal regulation. This is not a problem with AI, that you put some, let's say, private data or commercially sensitive data to him. It could be a problem because people, when they are trying and using the tool, they are trusting too much.
Yeah.
It could be that bot or assistant give this data, but it's not allowed to move it forward, let's say, to the emails, etc., etc. So it means that you should prevent bot to get those data, because people loves the tool, they likes that it's fast, it's good, doing good job, and they are not so much critical, do not evaluate the risk, and this is probably not the bot is the problem, the user.
Yeah, because we just just quickly to finish everything. So in one of the events that I was attending, I heard one speaker say that within the next 5 years, 90% of the content online will be generated by AI. So I think it's all of each and one of us kind of personal responsibility to make sure that everything that we put online, if we generate not by AI, but working together with AI, is the best possible quality. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the conference. And if you have any questions, just come to me and let's connect. Thank you.